why the circular part of the economy is so important for us, especially for the business sector, the industrial sector, and indeed all kinds of businesses, agriculture, services, and so on. The name of the game today, as much as climate change, biodiversity loss, species extinction, etc., is resource management. Our dependence on resources of various types, some scarce, some not so scarce, has become quite obvious to most countries in the world. And of course, the UN has set up the International Resource Panel in parallel to the IPCC and the IPBES to look at resource issues as fundamental as climate change and biodiversity losses. Miniaturization is a big thing and has actually been quite successful. When I did my PhD, now it's a long time ago, I had a computer that was roughly the size of this room, of this hall. And today, the computer in here is much more powerful than that one was. So we do know how to basically bring about a certain amount of saving of resources through miniaturization, because there's a market pull towards miniaturization for a variety of reasons, mainly the fact that you want to be able to put it in your pocket and carry it around. There is also longevity, product life extension. Very important. If you keep a car 10 years, you use half as much resources as if you discard it after 5. Product life extension has been a major factor in our thinking on the circular economy. And then, of course, the shared economy, the Uberization, if you like, of our assets, shared assets, where buildings, motors, machines, transport vehicles, if they're shared, obviously, they're used much more. So the circular economy is quite a rich set of concepts. And what we're going to talk about today is their implication. Well, why would people want to buy into it? And the main reason is that it's also got very positive impacts on competitiveness. It helps you make more money. Obviously, if you reduce the costs of your inputs, you increase the value, you're going to do better. And the circular economy is becoming more and more attractive in its pristine sense of resource efficiency, because it has a very positive impact on the bottom line.
We work in this era of the Sustainable Development Goals. We work on inclusive and sustainable industrial development, and these are quite abstract terms. And in that regard, I often like to say that basically what we want to do is to create factories that are fit for the future, but we needed them yesterday. So they address the concerns which are not necessarily new, but they have not been addressed. And these are concerns in regard to productivity and competitiveness of enterprises. So to make sure that factories can produce products that are sought after in markets and can be sold and domestically and internationally, to also make sure that environmental standards are met and innovations beyond compliance behavior is there, and that we also take care of the people that are involved in manufacturing and supply chains. So this concept of inclusive and sustainable industrialization is embedded in SDG 9 and is clearly also the guiding principle for the work of UNIDO. We don't have enough planet Earth to continue the way we are doing. We have the common indicator or the simplified indicator of the ecological footprint, which estimates how much land area is needed for every person on planet Earth, and then we can compare that to the size of planet Earth, and then we run out of planet Earth by 1st or the 2nd of August. So 70 or 70% of the year we use resources which were essentially reserved for next year. So we're on the trajectory that we need 2 planets Earth by 2025 or 2030, and we just have only one. So from an environmental point of view, and it's not so much what was initially considered that we will run out of natural resources to produce stuff, but we run out of natural resources that make our living. So clean air, clean water, a livable climate, which is a little bit bigger than the size of the Indian economy at the global level. So we can't afford to be as wasteful with natural resources as we have been in the past, and that brings us to the concept of decoupling. So we have to do more with less, but I also add for more. So we don't want the same gadgets to be produced with more efficiently, but we want also gadgets which bring higher quality of life and maybe require less materials in that sense.
In 2011, we tried to formalize a strategy which will ensure that the sustainability is ingrained in our businesses too. So apart from our activities in other sectors, social sectors, we thought of how do we ingrain the idea of sustainability into our businesses, and we came up with a strategy called Good and Green. So the part of Good and Green is focusing on greener India, wherein we are ensuring that our plants are operating in such a way that they have very less impact and also contributing to the communities around. The second part is related to good and green products. We understand that our footprint in manufacturing is much lesser and the footprint of our products is much larger. So going ahead, we see the products as the future of where the sustainability focus needs to be. So therefore, we are targeting something around 33% of our products to come as good and green products.
And I'm happy to say that more and more we are getting into companies that are not front runners like my previous colleague, but actually are skeptical of sustainability, of circular economy. How is it actually going to help my business? Is it not something that needs to happen, but really not going to help my business? Why should I be the one investing in it? You see more and more, especially for original equipment manufacturers or other big brands in textiles, that it is important to be seen as a responsible producer. It is important for the companies you're supplying to that they know that you are responsible for your products. So meeting that expectation, not just greenwashing your product or having a very green product, but just showing that you're responsible, you're ethical about your products is already a value.